so let's get into it, okay? You decided to get armed. What now? The next question should be, with what? Okay, it's just kind of like getting a car. I want a car. A lot of times, the main driver of what car you get is how much money you're willing to spend or able to spend. And then, two, what's the next question? What are your needs? Do you want to drive fast? Do you want to tune this car to make it into a Fast and Furious mobile? Do you have kids or pets that you need to load in to take to soccer practice or whatever it is? Are you a country boy? Do you need something to load up stuff and pick it up and put it down? All those things go into the decision on what kind of automobile you're going to buy. So likewise, you should have the same process for what kind of firearm you need. With that said, with the current climate, a lot of people are thinking self-defense. But self-defense where? Are you going to carry this weapon on your person concealed? Do you need a gun just for the house? How big is your hand? Is this gun comfortable? Can I handle the kickback, the power, the recoil, stuff like that? All things to consider, and honestly, unless you go and shoot the gun, it's just like, testing out new shoes at the store. You won't really know how it fits until you actually use it. But I can give you a few quick guidelines of things to look out for, some brand recommendations and stuff like that, because while you don't need to go buy the most expensive gun that's out there, and price point doesn't necessarily mean quality, but you do get what you pay for in this industry, you also don't want to just spend money just to spend it. And likewise, this is not an area that you want to cheap out with. Keep in mind, you may have to use this gun at some point, which means your life is in danger. Do you really want to put your life, the life of your friends, your family, into something that you got because it was cheap? I didn't think so. With this said, I'm going to use my own personal, I don't want to say arsenal because that sounds really imposing upon itself, but my guns, and give you my thoughts behind each and every purchase that I made and recommendations. Let's get into it. All right, so as promised, I brought out all my toys for your enjoyment, and I'll just do a quick dive into why I bought each one of these and the thought process that went into it. I'll go in order of when I got them so you guys can see my evolution here. So the first gun I ever purchased was the Glock 19 chambered in 9mm, which is right here. I bought this weapon back in, I want to say 2000, whenever I turned 21. So it's either 2005, 2006. Don't make me do public math right now. And of course, the first thing you should always do when you're handling any weapon is to ensure that it is unloaded. Drop the mag, but does that mean it's unloaded? Bet you it doesn't. Boom. Check down the chamber, verify it's empty. Now you can lock it to the rear. All right. So why did I buy this gun? Well, I really just wanted a gun, and I wanted a pistol, and Glock had a really good reputation. They are very common, very reliable. A lot of police forces use them, which tells me that, it's a quality product, and it didn't break the bank. I was also interested in the fact that it was a polymer pistol as far as like just weight and just newer technology and stuff like that. And at the time, I believe a lot of the other competitors were either priced more or just didn't have glowing reviews as far as, longevity and stuff like that, like Smith and everything. So I went with the Glock, and this is my first, and honestly, I've never regretted owning it ever. Beyond that, I had also hoped at some point to get a concealed carry permit. Where I live in Maryland, it's virtually impossible to get one. More on that on another video. But I knew at some point I might want to carry it, so this one seemed like it was comfortable. All right. I actually went to a range that caters to a lot of law enforcement, and you can rent guns there and shoot them at the range. So not only can you see how it fits in your hand, like any salesman will let you hold it, but you get to go shoot it and decide, make decisions on one. Does it feel good? Do you want the same gun in a bigger caliber or lower caliber, or what have you? So I settled on the 9mm. Largely because it's a very, very, very common caliber of ammo, meaning that it'll always be in supply. It's a proven round in both war. I believe the Germans came up with it in World War II, and they make good stuff. And a lot of law enforcement agencies use them. So here we are. I have modified my Glock. If you'll notice, those who may own them yourselves, those are not your typical Glocks. Those are night sights, and they're specifically a brand called XS, the letter X, the letter S. Big dot sights, which I will go into in another video of why I made that swap. But yeah, this is my big. The next gun I purchased was while I was in the active duty in the military. I was stationed out in the Air Force. I mainly bought this weapon. This is a few years, obviously. So I was 25, I want to say, and I started to think, okay, I bought a 9mm because it was common, but maybe I want something a little bit more powerful. And as luck would have it, one of my airmen at the time was going through a financial situation and he was trying to sell it, and I just bought it off him. So here we are. This is my Smith & Wesson 40C. And again, unload, unload. And if you'll notice, all my weapons have rounds in the chamber. And again, another video, I'll tell you why. Smith & Wesson is a very well-reputed firearms maker right here in America, and they make a lot of good guns. A lot of law enforcement agencies carry them. And if you'll notice, this is also kind of a composite material, just like the Glock, instead of a full steel, full metal frame weapon. I picked the 40 cal up because, 40 is bigger than 9mm. That's my next step up. I didn't have immediate regrets behind it, but out of all the guns that I shoot here, this is the one I'm least accurate with. And I'll do a video about why I don't think anybody should get a 40 caliber, but this one fit my hand the best. Well, not the best. Yeah, I had a magazine. If you'll notice, it doesn't come with this, but you can get magazines with a little extender. So it'll fit my hand the best for concealed carry. That's what the C is, 40C. So 40 is a 40 caliber, but the C is for the carry model. And I bought this leather because that's basically all that was available where I was. And this is my favorite gun to carry because it fits and it's easily concealable. It doesn't print. However, like I said, this is my least accurate gun. Like that one, I'm a surgeon with. I can double tap. Obviously, under range conditions, I've never been shot at or anything. But this one, I wouldn't dare shoot the way I shoot that one, which is a deficiency in my training I need to get better at. But it's also largely because of the caliber. So, more to follow on that. The next gun I bought was actually a gift, and it's my mom's gun. And this is the Springfield XD9. Again, another American manufacturer with a pretty good track record. The reason why I bought my mom a gun, because I felt like my mom needed a gun. And keep in mind, my mom was scared of guns for the longest time. And then I took her to the range after buying my gun, because they didn't, when I would come home from college, they wouldn't want me to keep the gun in the house. So the only way to break them of this, "Ooh, the gun's gonna come up and bite me," was to take them to the range. She shot off a mag or two of mine, and she was like, "I want a gun." Of course, she wasn't gonna go buy one. So I bought her this one. The reason why I bought her this one was because it's comparable in size to my Glock, which she shot and loved. And two, it had some other features because, she's not going to be carrying the weapon around, but she was nervous about, safeties and all this other stuff. So if you notice, this one has a safety built into the grip here. I believe there's another one somewhere. Nope. Yeah, that's just it. But the gun will not fire unless it's in a grip and you squeeze the trigger. And again, bang. Like I said, this is not my gun, so it was unloaded. Again, another video. All right. The other features, again, it's also, this one came stock with it, but if you notice, they have night sights as well on there that glow. The 40C, which is in the M&P line of Smith & Wesson guns, also has night sights. All right. But like I said, I bought this gun because my mom wanted her own. She really loved my gun, but she didn't like the fact that it didn't have any safeties or external safeties on it. So I got her one to put a little bit of mine at ease, because there's no point in getting her in a gun if she's not going to use it and get familiar with it. So yeah, that's her gun. And my last handgun that I ever bought was this bad boy right here. This is called the Smith & Wesson Governor, and as you notice, it's not a semi-automatic pistol, but a revolver. Why did I buy a revolver in, I want to say, 2012? 2013. The long and short of it is because I was out in North Dakota, and I had gotten into hunting, duck hunting, and really anything that flies. And out there's not a lot of them, but there's mountain lions and coyotes, and, well, there are a lot of coyotes. And also there's moose out there. And while you're not necessarily hunting them, you don't want to run into a situation where one of them decides it doesn't want you there anymore, and all you have is your shotgun. And well, it's a shotgun, right? Well, it's only got birdshot in there, and all you're gonna do is piss off a moose with birdshot, and a coyote. Oh, not a coyote. You can kill a coyote probably, but a cougar. So I decided to get this gun primarily as a trail gun. What I was looking for in a trail gun was, versatility, able to knock down something that is not necessarily what I was hunting for, but wanted a piece of me. And then two, not necessarily in North Dakota, but there's places you can go where there's snakes, rattlesnakes, and stuff like that, and you might need to shoot them. And the thing I like about this is, in addition to being a revolver that shoots bullets, it also shoots what are called 410 shotgun shells. So if I dump all these out, that is a 45 caliber long Colt, not to be confused with the 45 caliber ACP round that goes in a semi-automatic pistol. But it's the same size bullet. The difference is the casing. And again, I'll make an ammo video so we can discuss that. But it's also got 410 shotgun shells, which are very versatile. And this one's kind of warped. I might need to change this. But they're very versatile. And what they do is allow you to shoot slugs. You can shoot little pellets for birdshot, for snakes. They make snake shot, stuff like that. And this one is the PDX-1. This is specifically for self-defense rounds. And as you can imagine, this is a lot bigger. It's got a lot bigger profile than my Glock pistol. It's not, and it's bulkier. If I do that, they're bulkier. So this was not necessarily a gun that I ever really intended on carrying concealed. And there's not that much holster support for it anyway if I wanted to do it. I think you got the old school under the armpit. I couldn't imagine having this thing under my armpit all day. So I pretty much carried this one when I was hunting, and this one stayed by my bed at night. Also with night sights, but the cool thing about this one is it also has a laser built into the grip here. Lasers are not a crutch for proper shooting techniques and stuff. Well, they can be a crutch, but they're not a replacement for proper shooting techniques. This isn't like Lethal Weapon where you just aim it and it'll kill the bad guy for you. That's not how that works. But it can be a useful tool if properly used. All right. Now, if you notice, all these weapons, with the exception of my mom's, are different calibers. I don't believe in buying the same gun twice because I only have two hands and I typically shoot two-handed unless something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. So what do I need? A bunch of guns with the same caliber. And I bought them for different reasons. For self-defense, I wouldn't go anything lower than a 380 caliber, which I actually gave it away to my uncle, and I'm a little irritated now for this video. But 380 is only slightly smaller than a 9mm round. I hope that's in the camera. And as far as projectile and everything like that, with modern ballistics, and meaning like the way that they construct these rounds, the materials they use, the gunpowder, you get a lot more power out of a 380 in 2020 than you did back when the cartridge was first developed. So 380s are used in self-defense situations. Plenty of people have been hurt and killed with 380s. It's a proven round, but I wouldn't go anything smaller than that for the explicit purpose of self-defense. Again, though, this is a 9mm. So the first consideration that you're going to want to do is, will the gun fit your hand? If you have really tiny hands or really big hands, you might need a bigger frame weapon. You saw how all these fit in my hand, right there. I would consider myself to have average hands. They're not especially big. They're not small. I don't have really chunky fingers. I don't have real skinny, stabby fingers. But my hand from the longest finger, which is my middle finger, to the base is about 8 inches. And about 4 inches across. All right? So you can look at your hand, do your own measurements, and kind of get the idea of where to get it. A lot of the manufacturers account for that, though. So with the Glock, the thing about the Glock is, so this is a Glock 9mm, but it's called the Glock 19. I believe this is a Gen 3. Because I bought it a while ago. Glock is on their Gen 5 now, I think. It's still a 9mm pistol, but it's got a few minor things like, as far as stippling and the sights and stuff that you can read up on those. But as far as the Glock line of pistols goes, this is the 19, but it's a 9mm, right? Well, all that means is Glock typically offers 3 versions of every caliber gun that they sell. Not all of them, but most of them. And the Glock 19 is considered the compact. Okay, so it still looks pretty big, right? But there's a bigger Glock that shoots 9mm. All right, that's considered the full size. You can get the full size if you have a bigger hand, or if this is not a gun that you're considered for concealed carry purposes. Depending on what I'm wearing, this can print sometimes, especially if you're trying to wear fitted clothes and stuff like that. But a t-shirt is no problem, and the subcompact is even easier to conceal. The problem with the subcompact is almost the same thing with the the 40 cal that I showed you, that you need a magazine to either have the pinky extender or your pinky will be hanging off, which can be uncomfortable for some shooters. It requires practice and stuff like that, but it makes it more concealable. So there's give and take with everything. Same thing with the 40 cal. Kind of illustrates that concept where, yeah, that magazine I have has the pinky extender, but you can see why it's a lot easier to conceal. It's still comparable with, even though this one shoots a bigger bullet. This gun, like I said, it's comparable to my Glock 19, but just the angles that it takes, I couldn't imagine walking around with this thing trying to conceal carry. I mean, I would if I had baggier clothes on, but I've never tried. I didn't get my mom a holster for this to conceal carry, and I never tried to do it myself, but this just seems too oblong or whatever to do it, but it could get done. All right. So again, I have an average size hand, and I'm thinking it's just because it has the built-in crimson trace, but this is probably my least favorite handle on all my pistols, just because it just feels looser and smaller in my hand. Now, you do grip revolvers differently than you grip a pistol to shoot, but I've had to actively change my my mechanics and how I shoot, not only to accommodate for the laser that's built in, but just how it feels in my hand. All right. All right, so the major takeaways from the handgun section of this is that there are a bunch of different options out there. The main thing you need to think about it is just like buying a car or some clothes. What are you going to use it for, and does it fit? You know, as far as calibers, people get wrapped around the axle behind that. My general philosophy is to carry the largest round that you're comfortable carrying in your scenario. What does that really mean? Not necessarily just comfortable putting on your body and everything, but comfortable shooting accurately at whatever you would necessarily have to defend yourself. With that said, there's give and take. Typically, the smaller the actual weapon is, the more felt recoil you'll have. So typically, if you have a smaller gun chambered in a larger caliber, it can be a little bit more difficult to shoot. And also, the larger the caliber, typically, the lower ammo capacity you're going to need. Now, unless you're going to go out there getting into random gunfights or against insurgents, you really don't need a ton of ammo. Most self-defense scenarios are resolved with just a few rounds from just a few feet away. The ammo capacity is more so for sustained gunfights, which I'm not really qualified to even talk about, or is beyond the scope of this video. But there's a lot of different options out there. Like I said, I wouldn't go below a 380. With modern ballistics, 9mm is probably my favorite round, not only just to shoot, but just for self-defense practicability, because there's plenty of power behind those things, especially with modern hollow points, which I'll get into again in the ammo video. And honestly, shot placement is what's going to save your life. Okay, there's no one bullet out there that, you know, it's not a video game, it's not Dirty Harry, it's not the movies. Like, people don't just drop when they get shot. Unfortunately, we've seen it with all these videos of our people getting killed in the street. But shot placement is the name of the game, but you want to make those shots count with quality ammo from a quality weapon with quality training. Hit me up if you want to have any more feedback about, or have any questions about handguns specifically. My next weapon, let's talk about that. I want a 45 caliber. There's a lot of myth and ethos behind the 45 caliber. Why do we carry a 45? Because they don't make a 46. Well, they make a 50 caliber handgun, but I would never carry that for any reason other than shooting bears. Yeah, but the 45 caliber is also a tried and true weapon. It's plenty of power. I like that better than my 40 cal, and I don't even own one. I'm looking at the, what is the thing? The SIG 320C, which is the carry version of the Army's new pistol. It's not new, but the Army just decided to adopt it. So that's my next weapon, my 45 caliber, next pistol anyway. All right, so then go out there and get armed, get trained, and educate yourselves. Have a good one.